Josh Earnest was absolutely right. And quite frankly, I question the patriotism of someone who questions the president's patriotism without any policy that he's talking about behind it or any decision that he's made behind it, just again, genuinely questioning his patriotism.
I disagree.
And he doesn't own 9/11. He was great during 9/11, but my God, his comments were off the hook. They were crazy.
All right. Welcome to Give Me Five, ladies and gentlemen. Mika Brzezinski. Notice the caveat. She questions the patriotism of anybody who questions the patriotism of the president without referring to specific policy. So if you refer to specific policy, if you refer to the Iraq War and you say President Bush is a Nazi, or you say President Bush, as the protesters in the street did, kill Bush, murder Bush, hang Bush, and hold signs up with the crosshairs and the blood on Bush, that's okay, I guess, because that's related to policy. But if you and when President Obama calls George W. Bush unpatriotic while he's president, Bush is, and Obama is running for president as senator, that's okay because it refers to policy. Well, Rudy Giuliani specifically said, Mika, I'm not questioning his patriotism. He's questioning whether he loves the country. And there's a difference. There's a difference. And then he specifically went into who he grew up with, what he has said, what he has done. This is so bogus an issue. I'm so sorry Rudy Giuliani backed down. It's like now I'm sticking up for a guy who backed down. Thanks, Rudy. Way to go. Here's more.
I think they were off the hook, too. But again, I just have to bring up again, if Democrats are going to beat their chest in self-righteous indignation, I'm sorry, how many times have Democrats called George W. Bush or Republicans unpatriotic over the past 10, 15 years?
It's a huge double standard in the media.
It happens all the time.
Every reporter has to look at this as a case and say, is this a standard we're going to hold everybody to?
Or just Republicans?
Of course they're not going to hold everybody to it. President Obama called Republicans enemies. Enemies, speaking to a Latino audience, said they could ride in the back of the bus or the back of the car. Isn't that lovely? That's fine, because it's President Obama who said it more.
Something didn't seem off and random about
Yeah, it seemed off and random, but it seems off and random when Nancy Pelosi calls Republicans unpatriotic. But nobody in the mainstream media notices or cares. And yet I didn't hear you going on a tirade. Every time Democrats call Republicans unpatriotic. Keith Olbermann on this network said some of the most horrific things about the President of the United States. I didn't see people's hair going up in flames then.
No, they didn't. We'll get to Keith Olbermann in a second. Here's one more here.
You were certainly here when Keith Olbermann would say things at night on this network that would make Rudy Giuliani look like he was at a tea party.
I think that's a false parallel.
No, that is not a false parallel. And I heard nobody in the mainstream media's hair catching on fire going crazy.
Okay, actually,
he got away with it for years.
Rudy Giuliani is a private citizen. Keith Olbermann worked at her own network. So who should be held to a higher standard? And here's just a little itsy-bitsy, teensy-weensy taste of Keith Olbermann in case you forgot.
There is a dictionary definition, one word that describes that toxic blend. You're a fascist. Get them to print you a T-shirt with fascist on it. There's one thing we know about Big Brother, Mr. Bush. It's that you are a liar. Now that you have vetoed an extension of the eavesdropping, if some terrorist attack were to follow, you would not merely be guilty of siding with the terrorists. You would not merely be guilty of prioritizing the telecoms over the people. You would not merely be guilty of stupidity. You would not merely be guilty of treason, sir. You would be personally and eternally responsible.
Yeah, but you see, I don't understand how he could have said that, because I thought this attack and the way people talk about Barack Obama is unprecedented. Never been done before. The vitriol, the hatred, the smear, the name calling. Never happened before. Go Google anti-war protests against George W. Bush and read the signs. They wanted him dead on the Steve Malzberg Show.